webinar series. Welcome to the Genially Universe webinar series. Thank you very much to everyone who is joining us today. Today we will be covering one moment. Six main areas. So we'll start with what is Genially, then we'll go on to discuss what are the building blocks of effective communication. Then we'll start with what can you create to captivate your audience, a wow effect in just seconds. Then we'll go into a bit more detail with the tool, and we'll have a bit of a surprise at the end for you. So, to begin with, what is Genially? Genially is a versatile all-in-one tool which is used to create engaging, modern, interactive learning experiences. Our primary objective is to help you improve the way that you communicate, present, share, and teach your content. It's never been so easy to create stories that captivate your audience and improve engagement. Genially reflects who we are. More than a tool for editing content, it's a community of incredible people like you watching the YouTube channel today. Genially takes your content and, based upon 4 fundamental principles, enriches it and makes it more effective.
You have to screen, share your screen. Yeah.
Hi everyone, sorry, I think we had a little bit of a technical issue there. Let me just go back to the beginning. So, as I say, Genially is a all-in-one tool which is used to create engaging, modern, interactive presentations and experiences. And we're looking to improve the way that you communicate, present, share, and teach content. Our primary objective is to help you with that, and we reflect more than just an editing content tool. It's a community of amazing people like yourselves watching the presentation today. So, we're based upon 4 fundamental principles, which we look to take your content and enrich it to make it more effective. So what are those building blocks of effective communication? First of all, interactivity. Interactive content appeals to the inner adventurer in all of us, and by incorporating interactivity in your presentation, you can immerse your audience in your content. You can choose between adding tooltips, windows, links, and linked pages to captivate your audience. whether you're looking to be creative, informative, memorable, or all of the above. The second point we work on is storytelling. Now, stories are not flat, and neither should your content be. Storytelling allows us to contextualize our message and apply it to real life. By adding graphics, you maximize the retention of information, make your audience think critically, and display your creativity through visual metaphors. Stories stimulate curiosity in our audiences and make your communication more memorable. The third area is gamification. So by turning your content into a game, your audience becomes an active, motivated participant in your communication. It improves concentration and makes your audience take notice of what you're saying. Genially is a tool which complements gamification by including elements that you can touch, explore, and discover, in turn allowing your audience to get more involved and maximize what they remember. If you excite your audience by introducing a game, the understanding of your content will increase. Finally, animation. With regards to animation, it brings your content to life and allows your content to be ordered in layers by priority so that your audience is focused on what you want them to remember. Various types of animation are available to users of Genially, from entrance and exit animation to animation that only occurs when you hover over a certain element, and continuous animation that happens on a continual basis. These visual effects transform your static content into something much more dynamic and engaging in a matter of minutes. As a result, your fantastic animated creations will unleash learning for everybody, be you in a corporate environment or in a more educational environment. Now that you know what Genially is, we're going to take a closer look at the tool itself and what you can do with it. Starting with some inspirational examples of the content created using Genially. Then we'll have a quick look at the panel and the options available in the editor. And then finally, we'll finish up with some helpful hints and tips to allow you to create enriched content with greater ease. Now, we've seen how Genially can empower you to create dynamic interactive content. But I'm sure you're asking yourselves, how can you transmit your ideas into your projects? With Genially, we can create a range of content from an interactive presentation to fantastic infographics, interactive images, calendars, and more. Your only limit is your imagination. So let's have a look at some examples. So to start with this basic one, this is just a little sort of mind map about Maria Montessori's principles. So you can hover over each principle and see which principle is applied. So this is something that's quite basic and easy to make within Genially, but also this interactivity helps to make the information more digestible for people who are looking at it. Now, if we look at the sort of standard one, this is an example of a little quiz. So the quiz is to guess the color of the word, and you have less than 2 seconds to respond to this. So this one says, what's the color red? And there I haven't been very quick, but here I can go red, and I know that I've done it here. Now, to take your content to the next level, this is a little bit more advanced, and these are the sort of things that we'll look at potentially in future webinars. But here, as you can see, what you could do You can look at the information here about people. There's lots of images, lots of interactivity here. You can get to the home button and so on and so forth. So now we'll go on to the panel. So the panel, which is here, for some of you who already know about the panel, you access it with your login credentials, which is your username and password. But given we're starting with the basics of Genially, we're going to sort of go through it a little bit in more detail, just to sort of cover everything in a bit of an overview. So here is where you can choose which type of template you would like to select to create your first Genially, or perhaps your umpteenth Genially in certain cases. And by clicking on the template, you can then choose what you want to do. You can also, so I'm going to click on personal branding here, for example, and then from there, if I choose, for example, this one about me, if I press on the template, I can see a preview of the template, which allows me to decide whether it's one that I want to use. If I want to use it, then I can just click on use this template and it will open up the editor. If I decide to use something else, then I can go into another one, view a preview, and decide whether I prefer this or not. So for this particular one, what we'll do, I'm going to go into this one that says about me, and I'm going to use this template. So this will now open up in the editor. So we currently have over 800 templates to choose from, and our designers are constantly working on new design ideas, and we're always open to suggestions from the audience. So if you do have any ideas, do feel free to send in your suggestions to us, and perhaps we'll be able to make them. On the left-hand side here is where you've got the panel, where you've got different means by which you can make changes to your Genially. So there's interactive elements, you can make textual changes, you can add in different media, you can insert different media, you can add a background, and so on and so forth. We're going to just go through a few basic principles today, just to sort of give you an overview, and then from there, you'll be able to use the following webinars to be able to do something a little bit more complex in the future. So the first thing we're going to do is replace an image. In order to replace an image, you just click and select the image, and then you can click on replace. So I now have to select the file that I want to replace it with. Now I have created a file here, and I'm going to choose this one. And if I press open, it is there. Now, I can move this around to decide how I want the image to look. I can have it in the middle, I can have it a bit to the left, I can have it a bit to the right. If I change my mind on the image, I can just press on the X, or I can press off to the side, and the image won't be added. If I do that now, you can see that the image that was originally there is still there. If I'm happy with the image, then there is a little tick in pink here in the corner. All I have to do is press on that, and that image will then replace what was there before. I can check now, for example, name and surname. I want to change that, so I've got some text here already prepared, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. And it's as simple as that. Equally, if you want to type something in, you can just type in from here. You just click in, and type in, and everything is fine. So I'm just going to make a few changes to this so that I can use the text that I've got prepared, just to give you an idea as to what it will look like. So I'm going to add in and as you can see, it's just a few simple clicks and presses of a button, and everything is fine. If I want to add in something and make something more interactive, for example, if I want to make this current photography have an image, then I press on this icon here when I've selected which element I want to make interactive. I choose the type of interactivity. So there are two main ones that we use. Tooltip, which is when you hover over the text and you'll be able to see what's, something will sort of pop up when you hover over. The window is where you have usually a larger amount of text. And I can also create a link. So if I click on the button, it will take me to a new page. I can also combine a tooltip and window by opening a window. So this is something that I'm going to do now just to show you how that works. So if I choose window, not this one, because this is text, that's not how it works. You have to go onto, for example, this one. So here what I can do is add a title, which I'm going to just take this information out and paste it here. And then I can then insert an image. I can either upload it from here, upload a URL, or drop it, drag and drop it, whichever I prefer. So I'm going to upload it this way because I've got a file. I'm going to add this one here. And when I press save, that will be done. If I want to add animation to an element, then there is the white circle bit here that is animation. There are several different types of animation here. So I can have an entrance animation, an exit animation, continuous, so it will just keep going all the time. Or if I only hover the mouse over it, will be when something happens. And I can preview them by just hovering over. So for example, I can do this one, and I can see that little icon here, fade in, flipping around, zooming, so on and so forth. So if I choose, for example, the bounce one, what I can also do is copy an animation to another icon. So all I have to do is come up here, and this icon allows me to copy. So I'm going to copy this here, and if I click on, say, the Instagram one, I can then just click here for paste. And now, how do I know that that's worked? This I button allows me to preview my creation, so I can press on here, I can add a title, so I'm going to just call it webinar 1, and then when I press save, you can see that both those icons are now flicking through, and when I hover over this, you can see that this is here. So let's say that now I'm happy with what I've done, I've completed my work, and I want to publish it. How do I do that? In order to publish it, all I have to do is click All Set, and then from there, I can view it in a separate window. I can share it through a link on social media, such as email and so on. And for premium users, we also give you the option to download, and this download format is in HTML, JPEG, or PDF at the moment. Perhaps there will be more in the future. So, Genially is a tool with over 1.8 million users in over 197 countries around the world. And we work with education centers and corporations, including Sage, the Huffington Post, and the University of Cambridge. Now, we have a little bit of a surprise for you all. So we're actually going to be giving away to the attendees of this webinar, to one lucky attendee, I should clarify. To one lucky attendee, we will be able to give away a 1-year subscription to the EduPro or professional plan for free. So we'll be doing a draw here in the office, and then we'll be publishing that online on our social networks, and we'll be emailing the winner when that takes place. Also, we will be offering a 20% discount to everybody who has signed up for the webinar. And we'll be sending a code in the email. So if you just look out for your email, we'll be able to get you that code so that you're able to make a decision to purchase a plan with a discount. So that more or less rounds up the first webinar. I'll stay online for the next 10 minutes or so to answer some of your questions. And let me see what we've got here. So we're not doing a certificate for attendance on this occasion, Justina, but perhaps in the future that's something we will consider, because you're not the first person who's asked today. Wow, we've got a lot of international people here. It's great to see that everyone from Romania, Turkey, Poland. Wow, it's great to see everybody who's joining us from all these different places. Let's have a look. So Claire says, I've not been able to change the color of the background in a pop-up window. What am I doing wrong? So when we said have a pop-up window, here, for example, what you can do is go to colors, and you can choose the background color, and say, for example, I want this one. Select it and press OK. And then that gives me some background color to the text. Otherwise, you can add an image to add a sort of plain background. That's another way you can do it. Let's have a look. So to make an escape room, typing in the end, for example, a calculator, do we make that with layers? So there are lots of things you can do with layers. This is something that we will be covering in a later webinar. Something like an escape room, for us to go through that in the editor in this kind of style would be a webinar that takes quite a long time to cover. So we'll hopefully consider that as something that we'll be covering in the future. But for the moment, what I will say is that it's something that you can play around with layers, but the means by which you do that is something that will be addressed in a later webinar. Let's have a look. Right. Can you think about giving us some more free templates from the gamification category? That is something we're constantly working on templates. Our designers currently have about 800 templates available across a variety of different options, and we're hoping that that will increase greatly over the course of the next few months. We're working on some different ideas, and as I said earlier in the presentation, if you've got any particular ideas for, please could you do a template on X, Y, Z, or this sort of a theme or whatever. Do feel free to get into contact with us, and it's something we would be happy to sort of take on board. I can't promise that it would happen straight away, of course, but it's definitely something that we can look at getting right in the future for you. Okay. Well, that just about wraps up our half an hour. So if you've got any further questions, do remember that you can always write to us to support@genial.ly. We'll always be happy to give you some feedback via the support. And thank you very much for listening from wherever you've been listening from. And I wish you all a great rest of the day, or in certain cases, the night. And remember to check your inbox for the email of the prize winner and also for your discount. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Apologies for the technical issues at the beginning. And I hope that you'll be listening into the next webinar, which will be probably very soon. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.